All right, welcome back to the Cheech and Manny show. We are Cheech. I'm joined with my usual co-host, the People's Basis, Chris Carrera. What is going on, Chris?
What's up, my man? How's
I should say
everything?
Cheech, but
How's
Cheech.
ev- how's everything going?
Dude, life is good, man. Enjoying the summer. I got vacation.
Yeah,
Trying to get out as much sun as I can.
get away from that evil place for a while.
Oh, the temple. Yeah, right now, for all our viewers out there, I managed to be free of the temple's grip. No
Yep.
police behind my back and no, rock and roll suicide. So you just be careful.
Yeah, you know, crazy. Maybe off screen, I'll tell you a couple of crazy stories about the leader over there who has
Oh,
accused
dude.
me of something.
Dude, I can't wait, man. You gotta be careful. I mean, Rush, we're on point with 2112. I feel like,
Yeah.
and any bringers of truth, justice will be vanquished by the priests. And
Oh yeah.
eventually you'll win, but then they'll assume control, you know?
No. Well, they assume it every day. You know. So.
Leo, geez, listening to any new music or anything, or
Well, we're gonna do a show probably after this on the Ozzy Back to the Beginning concert. So I've been listening to a lot of those performances. I wrote the whole show about my review of it and stuff, and there was some amazing. I think I sent you some amazing performances from Steven Tyler. Just blew my mind away.
he's still.
Oh my
I'll be honest
God.
with you. Like I saw a few, and I have yet to. But this is great because you'll in the episode we're gonna do an Ozzy Osbourne special where
Yeah.
just talk about the man and so people can get a good context about him. I mean, who doesn't know Ozzy? But I think that
Right.
nowadays with this generation, probably he's kind of forgotten,
Yeah.
except with a cameo in that Motley Crue movie in Netflix. But it should
Yeah.
be totally nuts. But anyway, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, but dude, Aerosmith, they still rock. I know they look aging, but he's
Actually, Steven Tyler look. I thought he looked okay. Yeah.
oh okay, good.
I
I
don't
also
know
think
if
that
he got
too.
hair extensions or something. His hair
I
looked
think he did. I think he
amazing,
did.
and he looked like he did when he was in the 80s.
Right.
Um. But we'll talk about what I got a whole
Yeah.
show on this.
So
We'll get back to Amityville and Ronnie DeFeo.
yeah, for sure. So let's all right. So this is gonna be part two. Now I'm gonna release part one as its own thing
Yeah.
because kind of talked about DeFeo a little bit.
Yeah.
But we are going to continue with the Amityville House.
Yes.
DeFeo, I think his chapter is closed. Now we are going to move on to the famous Lutz family. And so,
Yes.
so with DeFeo getting arrested and, still a lot of mystery behind those murders. We're not quite sure what exactly happened there.
Right. Right.
But the house, right, he ends up getting arrested and all that and imprisoned. And I think
Yeah.
that's for now, but that's closing on DeFeo.
Yeah.
Let's now move on to the now. I think I don't. Let me know if I'm right about this, Cheech. That the Amityville house got even more famous because of the Lutz family.
Yes. The
Okay,
Lutz.
that's why
Okay.
they're important.
The Lutz family, moved in. I have all my notes on that. You
So yes. So wait. So let's get started. So okay,
Yeah.
they move in now. What has now? Give us before they move in.
Yeah.
What's going on with the fail and after he gets
Okay.
arrested in the house?
So, all right. Let me just get So, going back to DeFeo, the crazy shit is nobody heard the gunshots being fired. Nobody heard that. Um, and he basically, just to recap it, admitted that he killed his family. He admitted that where the gun was in the lake house, where the bloody clothes were, told them everything. He said he shot the family. So he got 25 years to life in prison. He tried to say that he was possessed by a demon to get insanity. And that kind of like, okay, kind of creeped everybody out. Maybe that put the seed in the Lutz family's head, you know, just throwing it.
Now wait. Before the Lutz family moved in, were they aware of the fail and all this?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the Lutz family moves in with the furniture still there. Now, Um, the one of the kids slept on Dawn DeFeo's bed frame where she got blown away. They took it as is because they really wanted the house. They sold it like probably dirt cheap, you know.
Okay, Cheech. So, okay, so they bought that. Now, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, or if you can answer this, but so they bought the house because of this, because of what of the fail?
No,
Had they
but
no idea, or were they aware but they didn't care? But it was at
they
a
were aware. Everybody in Long Island, everybody knew what happened in that house. So the
I
Lutz,
and I understand the real estate agent. I saw in the video he didn't cover anything up. He told the Lutz family,
yeah,
"Listen, this happened here. The
hmm
furniture's still there."
yeah.
Um, and so why? And it might be a silly question. Why wasn't the furniture replaced?
Um, that I don't know. All I know is they bought the house with the furniture in it, and the kids slept with the bed frame where Dawn was shot, or one of the kids was shot. Um, they got it dirt cheap, and I could start with it, you know. And Ryan DeFeo passed away March 12th, 2021, and he changed his story a million times. He said Dawn did it, you know. He said that the demons did it. So you really can't take the guy serious for who did the killings. We all know he did it, you know.
Right. And I think I think for all our viewers out there, watch that episode. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of still inconclusive, but hopefully with now the Lutz family saga, maybe you'll shed more light on that case. But gee, just one thing before moving on. So it's my notes. So let me know if this is right. And it was the winter of 1975, and the Lutz family toured. I'm gonna frame it like this, but a gorgeous 5-bedroom home on Long Island. The house was suspiciously priced at 80,000. Um, and get this, it had a pool, a boathouse. I mean, come
yeah,
on, and access to a canal, right? And then the real why? Because that grisly murder took place only a
yeah,
year prior. I mean,
right.
I think that's crazy. But I guess they bought the family. We hit the jackpot, right? But they didn't buy it because of this murder. It's just they were looking for a great home.
Um, okay, there's theories that they might have bought it with an idea. This is theories, okay? Uh, like let's buy it, let's create a scandal, and let's like maybe say it's haunted, get lawyers, get books, get movies. I mean, I don't know if I believe that. They seem like nice people. I've seen them in interviews, but that's a theory that they moved in and they might have planned all this. But I mean, what are the odds of that? You know what I mean?
I will say, like going back to remember how we talked about, I don't know if you know this philosophical tool called Occam's razor,
Yeah,
where okay, so I don't know if I should explain it, but I feel like that's too convoluted. I feel as though that's what happens, and I guess there's a lesson to be learned here that you have to be careful when you buy real estate because when a deal is too good to be true, I think that's
yeah.
what happened with him ultimately. I mean, I won't lie, and the house is cool. I mean, it has a boathouse, a pool that's five
I
bedrooms, Long Island. Do you have any idea how expensive
oh yeah.
Long Island is? I don't. And once he found out, I think he was like, okay, weird, but I'm gonna buy it anyway because this is just too good of a deal. And I think afterwards, I think what you're talking about, those theories,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
afterwards he capitalized on that.
I'm just gonna just a quick story. When I first got married, I bought a co-op with my wife, and I noticed there was a weird thing in the floor, and it bothered me. And whenever I went near this weird thing, I didn't feel right. So one day the super was there, and I noticed like when I would go near that weird thing, me and my wife would start to like fight, or we'd negativity would happen. So um I said the super was there putting in an air conditioner or something, and I said, "What is that?" And he laughs. He goes, "You don't know what that is?" I said, "No." He goes, "The realtor didn't tell you?" I said, "No." He goes, "That's a bullet." I said, "What do you mean it's a bullet?" He goes, "Oh yeah, the last people that lived here, the person shot the person. Did they kill them?" He goes, "I'm not telling you anything." He was scared I was going to move out. And I said, well, what happened to the person? Well, they're in a mental hospital, but when they get out, they don't know that we sold it to you because it was the way that they build the house that we got was like it was the model house, and I always wondered, I was suspicious about that. I changed the locks the next day, and I just kind of forgot about that bullet, and I thought about moving out because I was like, because I'd be sleeping and I would hear scratching coming through the wall. And I heard there was a lot of weird stuff that went on. And then I just learned to just like accept it. And I knew we were only going to be there for about a year um, until my wife got pregnant and we moved out. But so I could kind of relate to what it's like moving into a house where bad shit happened because there is negative energy that's there. And that bullet's still in the floor, whoever owns it.
Hmm.
Just my own personal, story about that. So, and I was really gonna move out. I was like, this ain't cool. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't like this, but anyway, this is my own Lutz story.
Wait, did you end up buying the house?
Oh yeah, I lived there. I lived in there.
Did you? Oh wow, interesting. I mean,
The only thing that creeped me out was I'd be in bed and I hear scratching from the wall
that could be rats though,
on
right?
the other side.
The
I mean,
cat?
literally, like you would hear this. Like I don't know if you can hear it. Like, and then it would stop,
Hmm.
and I'd be like, and this would be like in the middle of the night. And then I would get up and my wife would be like, just ignore it, ignore it.
Hmm.
And then for a while I was creeped out by myself when I was in the house. Then as time went on, I didn't think about it and stuff. And I forgot about that story. I actually forgot it. But there was a bullet in the fucking floor, which was crazy, you know. So just when you're ready to buy a house, Manny, with your girl, you get married, ask around. The realtors have to tell you if
No, well, and we're gonna learn with the lesson of the Lutz family, right? So
yeah.
let's continue there. All right. So what happens?
Right. Enter the Lutz family. George and Kathy Lutz just married, two kids. George is the stepfather. He adopted the kids with, the mother. They move in December 75. They move out 28 days later. They said they saw unseen forces, doors opening and closing, flies, demonic voices, blood on the walls. Kathy Lutz turned into an old crone witch in front of her husband. Apparitions. They said the house was possessed by the DeFeo family. Now you've seen the pictures of that I sent you of the little boy, the devil boy. So that
Yeah, yeah. And actually, you know what I might do? I don't know. When I edit this video, maybe I'll put up the creepy photo just for a little bit. So
yeah, so
we
people
can I can do that when I do the
that
editing.
shit.
But I've seen it. I mean,
Yeah,
we kind of talked about. I'll be
yeah,
honest, it looks. I don't stare at it because it's kind of creepy.
it's too creepy, and
I
it's
I hate old photos and like old paranormal photos. They're so
yeah.
spooky.
And they would have to Photoshop back then. They'd have to really work hard. It had to be done professionally, and um, so you know, they move in. Okay, so they end up moving out 28 days later. Um, so once they move out, they pretty much um went to a lawyer named William Weber. Uh, he also was Ronnie DeFeo's lawyer, which doesn't make sense. I don't understand how William Weber, who defended Ronnie DeFeo,
Mhm.
defense is now their lawyer. I don't know. So supposedly, after meeting with him and talking and stuff, he kind of said, well, why don't we have a big thing? Let's have the psychics come in and see what's going on.
Hmm.
And if they find something, let's get a book deal. Let's see what happens. He was convincing them to sell their story. They
Okay.
didn't want to, supposedly at first. It was William Weber who did this. Okay. So they move out. Now, I don't know how long later on they had experts come in. So the first expert to go in is the man Hans Holzer. He is pretty much the father of paranormal psychology. You would
Okay.
find him interesting. I got to send you stuff on him. He's a psychologist, and he put paranormal in front of psychology
Mm.
because he used psychology techniques to figure out why houses are haunted. Are they not haunted? Is it in your mind? Is it in your awareness? That kind of thing. So Hans Holzer comes in, and CBS News is there. Big deal. It's on television to watch him have a. He brings in a trance medium named Ethel Johnson Myers.
Mm.
And for those of you who don't know what a trance medium is, she. Oh, sorry, air conditioner's kicking. Sorry. She's a Funny, I said trance medium and shit started flying. Hope it's air. She is a vessel for the spirit. So the spirit, instead of like a Ouija board or a seance, she's the vessel. So basically, when he went in, he looked around, he didn't find anything. She got possessed by an Indian chief. Her body, and a woman named Laura DeDeo, who was there from CBS News, witnessed this. And it was they didn't film. It might be somewhere. It might be filmed. And she started to talk like an Indian. She started to say stuff like, "Why is this house built on my land, my cemetery, my
Right.
people? It's the ruins of my village. These people are all gonna die. They're all gonna get hurt. That kind of thing." So Laura DeDeo went to the local historical society, and sure enough, the house was built on Indian burial ground.
Now, just to recap, so this was what was the psychiatrist's name? The
Hans Holzer. He
he,
invented
he, he was the one that brought in that medium.
yeah, a famous
Okay.
he
And he sort of, you said, it's interesting. That's new to me, but he invented paranormal psychology.
he I don't know if he invented it. Like,
But a big proponent.
he's
In-
the guy that explained what it is. Like,
okay.
it could be so many different things. It could be real, it could be mental, it could be historical, it could be residual. Like we could go. I studied this stuff. Let me just say, in another life, I was out of my freaking mind with paranormal psychology, and I would go on I joined a ghost hunting group, and these people are nuts, they're insane. So I got to learn a lot about it. I got to learn a lot about how it works and how you determine if a house is possessed. You have to bring in psychologists. You have to bring in, architects to look around and make sure there's not squeaky floorboards. It's got to be legitimate. It's got to be a legitimate reason why. In a true trance medium, and they don't really exist that much anymore. A lot of them seem like they do, but they might be on TV trying to make money. Back in the day, these people were legitimate and real, and Ethel Myers was no joke. She said there was an Indian, that did it, and Laura the Dio proved it that it was built on there. Is that fake? I don't want to believe it's fake. I want to believe it's real.
Mhm.
Um, then the next ghost hunters come in, Ed and Lorraine Warren. And everybody knows Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, Laura DiDio knew them. She saw them speak. Ed and Lorraine Warren were not the Ed and Lorraine Warren we know now. They were just starting out writing books, known in New England. They did lectures in colleges. But
Now, now going back a little bit for those that don't know, for the Warrens, so a lot of them, a lot of our viewers are going to know them from The Conjuring, right? So what you're saying is that when they were called,
yeah,
right, they weren't famous yet.
no. not at all.
And what was their study? Paranormal psychology?
Oh yeah, Ed, a little different. Like Ed, oh yeah, go. They would get demons out of your house. Ed was a true demonologist. Okay. Now a lot of people debate that because you have to be a priest to be a demonologist, but he was a demonologist. Lorraine was a psychic, and she wasn't a trance. She was sort of a trance medium, and she would be able to tap into the feelings of what's going on. Now, according to Lorraine Warren, she said Amityville was the closest she's ever been to hell, and she wouldn't step foot in that house again after they did that seance. They had a huge seance. It's two different mediums. Hans Holder did his thing. Lorraine and Ed go in with other psychics, and they basically, that's when they took the picture. They had something set up.
Now, by the way, right. So they're the ones that took that famous picture,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I'll post up. I'll edit in this video, but I'm gonna see try to do also interviews with them. I'll see if I can incorporate them. But so now a skeptic who won't believe in this, like let's say like a very scientific minded
yeah.
skeptic,
Which I understand.
will question this, and I could see why one would say George Lutz, I think his name was, made this thing up. He capitalized on the hysteria that because weirdly enough, a movie is going to be made just a few years, and
Well, but what happened was once the Warrens declared it was haunted, and Hans Holzer gave that story, that's when William Weber sat down with a couple bottles of wine with the Lutzes, and they said, "Hey, let's talk to I have his name here. Um, a second, Jay Anson, who wrote the book. Now, Jay Anson wrote the book Amityville before the movie came out in like 76. The
hmm,
movie came out in like maybe 78, 79. And when Weber basically was like, okay, we want a piece of this. So Lutz gets a piece of it. Ed and Lorraine are consultants on the movie. The book did great. They got money from that.
right,
And
right. Yeah,
in,
because Jay Anson collaborated with the Lutzes and it became a bestseller.
yeah, yeah. And then,
And and that caused a hit movie, right? So were the Warrens involved in any of this?
yeah, the Warrens, this is where the Warrens, and I love the Warrens. I respect the Warrens. I believe in the Warrens. And this is where the controversial things come in with the Warrens, where a lot of people say, the Warrens will say you have a haunted house. Let me help you cash in on it and we'll make money. The Conjuring is a good example of that. According to the woman who lived there, her last name is Perone, that the
Right.
Warrens went in, all this crazy shit happened, and they kicked the Warrens out. And they didn't want the Warrens to be a part of it. But years later, the Warrens made a movie. I don't think the Warrens, in my opinion, are charlatans. I think they're authentic ghost hunters. And Ed is a true demonologist. I met his nephew, John Zaffis. I've seen him
Hmm.
speak. Uh, I have a funny Annabelle story that I want to bring up later on. But at this time, you got to remember the Warrens are just known locally. They're at colleges, basically taking the work of Hans Holzer and and making it like Hans Holzer's Robert Johnson, the Warrens is Led Zeppelin. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Actually, I'm going to say Hans Holzer's John Coltrane. I'll go further. So this makes the Warrens blow up. Amityville. Everyone knows the Warrens. I had their book, Haunted America, in 1982. I knew who they were. I knew them from Amityville. They had a local cable show on TV. That's it. They were cable on a local cable. It was, I mean, local, like public access. They paid for it. Even in the 80s, they would be on a couple of ghost shows on Halloween and stuff like that. But then they would have these things where you could go see them speak. It'd be in the newspaper. It wasn't until 2011 or 12 when The Conjuring came out that the world knew the Warrens. That's when they became a household name. So right now, that the Warrens are not popular. Yeah,
Right, right. I think, and just to go back, Amityville afterwards put their name on the map
only for haunt,
because
haunted houses. You know what I mean?
right, right,
Like
and
like if you were a regular person who wasn't into this shit, you wouldn't know who Ed and Lorraine Warren were. You know, now everybody, my dad knows who they are. You know what I mean? Like they're a household name.
well, I'll be
Parasite,
honest with you, like, but it's funny because, but then like, I've never heard of them, and The Conjuring put them on the map, the movie The
oh
Conjuring,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? But just to go back a little bit, so they declare the house to be haunted, right? And
yeah,
just to make sure we're so our audience, so Ed and Lorraine Warren they were paranormal investigators in the 70s, right?
yeah,
And I have here that Edward was self-taught and self-professed demonologist, which I
yeah.
would make a distinction with the priests and exorcism because there's not really demonology and like Catholic study and faith. There are
Right.
exorcists that study how to exorcise demons, right? With that, you have to understand, a little bit of the Satan and his servants.
And the rights that go with it.
Right, right. And the rights
Yeah,
would ultimately go back to Jesus. And he was a lecturer. Now, Lorraine was professed to be a clairvoyant,
yeah,
a trance medium, right? So she
yeah.
worked
She
with
was
her.
a trans medium. Yep. Mhm.
Okay, so they declare the house to be haunted, and we know, okay, afterwards. So, okay,
I
go.
will say one thing though. Ed um did work with a lot of priests.
Oh,
So
yeah, he has to as a
yeah,
demonologist
he
because
had
think about it.
he had
Yeah,
a he had a case that he couldn't get the demon out of.
well, he has to because the fact that demons, they're quite common across a lot of religions, but the demons that we think of ultimately come from Christianity, Catholicism. You
Yeah.
you have to, if he's a demonologist, he's aware of the priest and the exorcists that do this.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
But the difference is, and this is really important, is that the priests don't do it because they want money. They do it to help the soul. They,
yeah,
matter of fact, I saw in an interview with an exorcist several. A lot of interviewees that interview priests say, I don't get it. If this is true, how come you don't film it? How come you don't film a session? Right? And they say, well, no, that's not the goal. We don't want this demon or
yeah,
this idea to get out there. Versus Ed want he was trying to
yeah.
capitalize on this. And then this is why later on he was accused, him and Lorraine, of faking it, right? Am I wrong? Or like,
Yeah, yeah, and I disagree with it because I'm such a Warren. Now this is why Manny Grossman did the thing on the Son of Sam, and he did a thing on Amityville. The Warrens are very, similar to like a Mory Terry. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't believe in Mory Terry. They think it's all BS, and a lot of people don't believe in the Warrens. There's a parallel there, and I read like all their books and everything. You know. One thing I will say about the Warrens is very religious. Lorraine had got
no, no, what kind of religion? Like just religious and spiritual in
Roman,
general, or
Roman
kind of
Catholic.
Catholic?
I think they're Roman Catholic, so they got the gods on their side. And I'll be honest, going back to exorcisms, I was at a rehearsal dinner at a wedding many years ago, and me and the priest, this guy, his name, oh, I won't say his name, but it was at a Polish church in Port Chester, and we hit the bar, and he was hitting the bar, he was hitting the scotch, and I went up to him, and he was like, kind of messing with me. We were joking, so I could tell the guy was a little buzzed, and I was going. So I just said, I got to ask you something, man. Have you ever done an exorcist? Like, and that's something like you never ask a priest. And he stops and he looks at me, and he puts his hand on my head and he goes, I just did my first one. He was joking. He was at the kind of priest he was. He was really cool. He says, number one, you never ask a priest something like that. He
Hmm.
goes, I'm not mad that you asked me. You're just curious. He goes, because I bring it up or talk about it, there's residuals that have followed me that might not have gone. So to answer your question, He said something, in other words, like maybe, and that's it. So I know the guy was involved in doing an exorcism because he didn't want to talk about it. If he didn't do an exorcist, he would have talked about it. And he was just cool priest, you know.
Right.
And it was
No,
nice to talk to a priest about an exorcist because like I was like in awe, you know, that he would actually give me his time to talk about something so serious.
no, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think there are priests that do that. And something to note that for all our viewers out there, yeah, not all priests are exorcists, though. Like they're
No,
not, there are
no.
only some that are aware of the world of the demonic. And that's great because the Lauren, the Warrens had a good understanding of this.
Yeah.
And actually, it's really funny because now, two questions, Cheech, for you. The Conjuring, was that based on the Amityville Horror?
No. The Conjuring was a separate case in Rhode Island.
Okay.
There's a whole bullshit history about that. That and I don't blame the Warrens on this. I blame Hollywood. They took the main demon Tituban, who was a witch, and they made her come from Salem, and they made her possess the house, which was complete bullshit. All she was in reality in history was a midwife, and unfortunately, she got pregnant at a young age, and you know they shunned her and all that stuff, and she became a midwife and helped people, and she was actually a good person, but in the movie they made her the demon that possessed the house,
Okay.
and they destroyed her gravestone, and the woman was innocent, you know.
Well, the only reason why I asked, that's great, and maybe this could be another. We could do another episode in the future on the Warrens, not to, but so okay. So going back, so the Warrens declare the house to be haunted.
Yeah.
What happens after?
So when Hans Holzer, Ethel Johnson Myers, the Warrens say your house is haunted, well, it's haunted, you know, because those are the big wigs in the you know, in the industry. So William Weber gets the book deal, he gets the movie deal, and then the Lutz go public. And they're once the movie came out, the Lutzes are everywhere. They're on national TV. I remember as a little kid being scared shitless watching them on like I don't know, whatever shows, you know, news shows run at that time.
Right.
So they, and you know, everyone believed it. The movie came out, was like number two next to The Exorcist, box office smash.
Right. I mean, I think it's a horror classic, right?
Oh yeah,
The horror.
Amityville, you know, it became the most haunted house in America. And then after the movie,
And it's crazy because it's based not on DeFeo, even though it's based actually on this family, which I always found just to add more maybe theories to this was made up. I mean, why wasn't we made on DeFeo? Why the Lutz family, right? Like it's kind of like just getting thinking and
yeah,
um, but that's very interesting. And I'll be honest with you, this is in a short span of time.
yeah, this is from 1975, and the movie comes out, I believe it was 79, you know, and they only lived in the house for 25 days. And supposedly, you know, if you've seen the movie, he starts turning into like the father, uh,
Right.
George DeFeo. You know, he gets angry at the family. He's always cold. The woman turns into an old crone. So everything that supposedly happened. But then there's neighbors that were like, "This is BS." They said there was a pig in the window, and it was a Persian cat that was really fat with red eyes.
Right.
Uh, there were flies in the house because I don't know. They say after there's dead bodies for a while, like in the house, somehow maggots form and flies uh, stay in the house. I don't
Mm.
know. I don't know. That was somebody's theory. Um, so there's a lot of things that debunk it, you know, and a lot of people started to say, wait a second, maybe Ronnie DeFeo said he was possessed by a demon. George Lutz bought the house, didn't like the house, said, let me go with this haunted house thing. Let's get in William Weber. Let's make money off this. You know,
Mm.
let's bring in these famous parapsychologists, and it's all bullshit. I'm not saying that. That's another theory. I don't know if I believe that. I want to believe the house was haunted by either the Native Americans who lived there, and they were just like evil, and the family, the Vale family, they got murdered. Of course, their restless souls are going to be in the house. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And that picture really, really shows that there was something in the house, and unless it's fake. 1975, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to really go through a lot to fake that. You'd have to spend a lot of money, so but trying to think the Lutz that I have. Yeah, so we covered you know, a lot of the fact of like the Lutz family, moving in, moving out, the movie deal, the book deal, the Warrens coming in, so and I have a bunch of questions that I want to ask our viewers. I want to ask us together and kind of
Yeah, let's go there and conclude there. Sound good?
yeah.
Just
Um,
I
you
think
know,
you covered.
or just out of curiosity, after all, I explained. What do you think? What is your theory on this?
I think I guess I'm the late person here because I'm not a a true crime, junkie like you Chiefs or expert, but just hearing. Okay, so there's so much loose ends and weirdness. I mean, including the Lutz family moving in and buying the house. And I think that now I'm just gonna focus on Lutz family, not the fail. Watch part one of this so you can.
Yeah, feels out of the.
But I think the Lutz family moved in because the house was a good deal. I think they did experience some strange paranormal activity. Um, and again, my thing with that though, there's a few problems with that because there was nothing before nor nothing since of what they
Right,
claim.
right.
That's
So
interesting, right? It makes you think. Um, could it have been they were capitalizing on this? It does seem that way because of their collaboration with DeFeo's lawyer
yeah,
and with the author of the book. Let's get his name up. The author, Jay Anson, right?
yeah,
Um, and just for the spookiness, I mean, what's really interesting here is that they were only there 28 days, right? I saw here that they called a local Catholic priest to bless the house, right? Due
that's in the movie with the flies.
earlier reputation, and they claim that the priest sensed a sinister presence. Doors slam open and shut at all hours.
Yeah,
There was a persistent coldness in the house despite fires and the fireplaces roaring.
yeah,
The weird one is the drops of gelatinous goo, red, green, and black, right? The colors we're not sure, but that's what the claims are. Appearing on the walls and carpet. What you mentioned that one night Kathy transformed into a 90-year-old crone. And this kind of sounds like a mix of The Shining too, by the way, which is really interesting.
exactly,
The
exactly.
face of a demon-eyed pig that appeared in a bedroom window. And
That's
then
debunked. That's debunked. That was a cat.
well, I'm just like reading, so
Yeah,
sort of get good sense, and you share that that was debunked. Okay, so and then they claim at the final night of the house that George reported that Kathy levitated and slid off the bed, which is a common thing with exorcisms or cases like that where levitation is present. George was kept awake all night by the sound of the children's bed slamming on the doors above him, flickering lights, and also an unseen presence lurking in the room, which could be that kid in that photograph, which is creepy.
right.
The next day, the kids awoke traumatized and were unable to move or leave their rooms. So they couldn't take it anymore and they left, never to return. Now, I think that they did experience something. I think I think maybe that priest maybe exercised the house. I think it worked,
Yeah.
but because there's a few problems here.
Well, in the movie, priest runs out of the house because
Right,
he's
right.
in the room.
Well, in real life, did the priest complete those blessings?
That I don't know.
Because if he did, it should have worked.
Yeah, in the in the
It's
movie,
strange.
he gets hit up with flies, and then he hears like get out," and he fucking jets, and he's like, I
No,
I
no.
can't.
If that's the case, then the blessing was not complete, which
Yeah,
explains the presence of that, you know,
Yeah.
demonic or malignant spirits that were in there. I think that they did experience something. Now, obviously, looking to capitalize on this because of their collaboration with DeFeo's lawyer. Lawyers are smart, they're savvy, they know
Yeah.
how to capitalize because of their, uh, work,
Theo's lawyer.
which is strange.
What?
That's something that I'll be
That
like, okay. And actually, they had a falling out, so they go to the other guy, sort of like a Mory Terry kind of guy. And I think they probably made up a few more things, right? Trying to intensify the story, make it as and obviously inspired that movie as well that made them more money.
in a good example with the Warrens being a part of it. I mean, the Warrens were known to, I don't want to say lie, but change the story. And I gave a good example with Tituban and The Conjuring. They took a name of a woman who was innocent, and
That
they,
wasn't Bathsheba, right? Bathsheba.
oh, I said, oh my God,
Yeah, I think it's Bathsheba, which
I'm,
is actually funny. That's actually a witch or a supposedly witch in the in the Crucible.
yeah, I'm sorry. I got my witches wrong. Bathsheba. Thank you for correcting me. I'm thinking of the Salem witch trials.
Well, and actually, but wait, and before we move on, now I think this is so important. Did the priest really bless the house? I think maybe there's two things with this. If he was successful with the blessing, there
Yeah,
would have been no haunting because when the priest blesses the house, they exorcise all demons.
yeah,
Was not successful, right? I'm not sure, but if he was not, then that would explain sort of some of the hauntings because you really got to think about it. DeFeo, if we believe the demon story, he was possessed by something.
yeah,
And obviously that presence was present within the house, right?
yeah.
That's really important. And so if he ran out and was not successful in exercising the house, then that means the malignant spirit was still there, right? So I think that's really important.
Got to question the priest. You got to question the priest. Was the priest an ordained exorcist? I think he was just a local priest from a church.
Well, I'll be honest with you, you don't have to be an ordained ex. No, so Cheech, there's a little distinction here. Any priest can actually bless a house. They have that power.
Yeah,
An exorcist is aware of the art of exorcism, right? And that includes certain rites and what they usually now they could exercise a house, of course, but they usually focus on exorcising demons out of people.
right, right, right.
It's sort of like a calling. And by the way, you don't choose to be an exorcist. You're called. This is a
Yeah,
part of
I
Catholic
believe that. I believe,
religion in Catholic belief. So most priests can bless you, though. They can bless you, they can bless a house, and their presence also wards, especially if they're holy, their presence, like, and now mind you, demons are gonna try to attack them, right? Because obviously, they're agents of God. But my thing is that if he failed, if he didn't do it right or ran away, then obviously those hauntings are still gonna be there. That's really important. So
yeah,
I think so. Ultimately, I don't think Lutz made it up. Now, obviously, they capitalized on this. Who wouldn't, right? Like, if you had a book deal,
yeah.
who wouldn't, right? Like, and
It seems like the Warrens, all their movies were about their cases, and there were some like I was when I was really into this. There was you ever see the movie A Haunting in Connecticut,
I
where the
heard of it. I haven't seen it, but I
oh,
heard of it.
but the family moves into a old funeral.
Now, Cheech, just really quick. All those movies about that are they all based on Amityville?
No, no,
Okay,
no. They Amityville was what put them on the map. I don't even the Warrens didn't even remake Amityville yet. That's supposed to happen. That
right.
they didn't remake it. A Haunting in Connecticut. I think the Warrens try to cash in on because they were a part of it, but the family didn't have anything to do with it. They wanted nothing to do with the Warrens. And I remember trying to get in contact with the kid because he lived in like Norwalk. The kid who was supposedly possessed. He worked at a garage. He was an auto mechanic, and I was really into this a couple of years back. And they didn't want the Warrens to do with it anything to do with it. But all the movies, what the fuck? Okay, I don't know. Just heard a weird sound in my room. Um, Probably the air conditioner. So anyway, um, the uh, the Warrens just cashed in on the movies of their cases, which is fine because they worked hard on those cases. But they would, make some stories up and stuff like that. Like The Conjuring, like we said, Bathsheba. The woman was not evil; they just made her evil. Okay, Hollywood's gonna, and me and you argue about this all the time. I hate when Hollywood does it. You know,
Right.
somewhere in, was that some Once Upon a Time in Hollywood movie. So it's okay. They made Bathsheba evil, but she really wasn't. They desecrated the poor woman's grave. So the Warrens took that, and the Annabelle thing. I didn't like about the Annabelle movies. They made Annabelle look way too evil. She was just a Raggedy Ann doll. My freaking sister had one in the 70s.
Well, again, I think yeah, you and I can argue about this. Not debate, not argue, but debate. But the problem is when you think about it, and again, like I think that's why the Lutz, when they were writing the book, they were making they possibly because when you also it's the same problem when you write books. If you stick too close to the truth,
Yeah,
I hate to admit it, but it's boring. Like it
exactly,
doesn't make for
exactly.
a compelling story. And again, I'm not saying life is interesting because when you describe life as life in a book form,
Yeah,
um, well, first you're either writing history, which history books are not everyone's cup of tea. They're boring,
yeah.
or you're writing a biography, which a lot of people like biographies, but they stick close to the real person's life. They tend to be boring, especially if they're not anyone really like compelling, like Lincoln or Washington, right?
Oh, I see what you mean. It's got
So,
to be.
and movies are especially the case where you have to be careful because most movies now, here's the weird part that like let's say like movies like The Conjuring, right?
Yeah,
Which you explained well, sort of the discrepancies and sort of like Hollywood a little like, creating this myth and like a lot of people we tend to, oh my goodness, that happened exactly the way they are. The Warrens were exactly how they were portrayed. The problem is that that is just based, it's truth, but it's movie truth where you have to take it with a grain of salt. It gives you sort of like a nice, how would I describe it? Like a nice, it doesn't give you a historical, biographical, or detailed truth story, but
yeah,
instead a image shroud, a truth image surrounded by fog. So you
yeah,
get a good idea. Okay, this happened. Let me do some more research.
yeah,
Again, for these horror movies and these sort of cases with Amityville, there's a lot of truth, but one has to be careful because same thing as the movie problem. I feel like that could be a problem, and that could also be a problem with Mory Terry, which again we went over in length about him, where it's just at the end of the day we're not sure, and
yeah. Mory Terry could have added stuff to the Ultimate Evil to make it more appealing to sell books. He could, added whatever some I don't want to say lies, but just exaggerated the truth. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Exaggerate the truth, and I think that's what the Warrens might have done. You know what I mean? But not to,
but there's truth in there. It's like fiction.
yeah,
Like when you read a really good book of fiction, is that truth or not? It is truth because the author's communicating something, right? But I think it's something similar where, and again, we just gotta, I think that the Lutz family ultimately they did experience something. I think there
I
was
believe they
something.
did. Yeah, if somebody shoots up their family, I'm not gonna want to live in that house, whether it's fake or not. You know what I mean? And having the Warrens come in, and Lorraine, who really was a true psychic and trance medium, said that's the closest to hell she's ever been, and she got very sick after that experience. She
Yeah.
wasn't she wasn't well. She said for the rest of her life. That's how bad it was. You know.
And it's crazy because and again and I think the problem here with okay, now let's remove the religion and all this.
Yeah.
This for a skeptic, an empiricist, scientific minded person.
Yeah.
This is all BS, right? They're gonna say it because again, I think it's really important that you need to believe in the demonic world because the Warrens were religious, They were spiritual. The problem is from like the empiricist and scientific, and from the person, the skeptic and agnostic atheist, they'll say that it's all BS. Mediums are charlatans, they're fake. And mind you, there are fake ones. I'm not gonna lie to our audience, there are fake ones. What do we think about that, Cheech? Like how do we respond to that?
What do you mean, like about fake
For
Charlotte?
people like the scientists and empiricists say it's all BS. It's
Um, well, there's never been proof in history of a ghost on film. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, so, I believe in it. I've experienced the paranormal. Believe me, I have two stories that are really not scary. They're positive because they were family related. You know what I mean? But I've experienced. Could these things be a coincidence? So a scientist is coming from facts, and there's no real proof. There's never been a ghost on camera. There's
Right.
never been anything real.
Actually, hence
I
the
can see
invention
that.
of parapsychology, paranormal psychology,
Yeah,
which, by the way, that field sadly gets mocked by real psychologists. But there are parapsychologists, but they're sort of in the academic world. They are in working academia. They're very quiet about it because it's sort of ridiculed.
yeah, and like and there is psychology to it. The people in the house could have psychological problems. You know,
As we're discovering.
yeah, these things could happen. I mean, I could see the skeptics because there's no proof of a ghost. You can't prove a ghost. You can't,
No,
unless
and by the way, and Cheech, I'm not in our audience. I'm not. I'm just being devil's advocate. Where because a lot of people, like you said, they think they claim that the Warrens are charlatans, that they're BSers. That Lutz made this whole thing up, and with DeFeo, there really wasn't anything paranormal that was involved, and he just used it to plead insanity. That way, he doesn't have to rot away in prison, or if he drops the soap, certain bad things, but. And with the problem with this is that a lot of serial killers or psychopaths, at the end, they do make this claim. Listen, he made me do it. I heard voices.
David Harvey the dog.
Right, right, which is another problem with Berkowitz. So I guess do you have any final like things that you want to
Yeah,
mention?
I'm gonna go over the questions, and we'll do it quick. Um, so the first one is all this true? Is the house possessed by demons, and the Warrens um proved proved it right? I guess we agree on that. We
I
agree.
believe in the war. I definitely believe in the Warrens. Now, mind you, you clear you're a Warren researcher too and scholar, so there was a few things that one has to be careful in sort of like other cases, but with this one, I think they got it right.
Two facts. Hans Holzer and the Warrens proved. Hans Holzer proved the Native American theory.
Right, right. Now, and by the way, Cheech, with these two,
Yeah.
they were kind of unknowns, right, in a way,
You mean the Warrens and
at the time.
Hans Holzer came out in the '60s.
And he was a psychiatrist,
Yeah,
right?
psychologist, and he invented the whole genre. So I guess in the '60s, people were having haunted houses and stuff, and he wrote books, and he wrote a lot of books and stuff, and he even did a house in Rye, New York, that I was obsessed with for years. He went, to take the demon out of the house.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But at the time, was he like a big name, like where he was global? No.
Only in the paranormal psychology. Like
And that field was new. That wasn't.
if you were into haunted house,
From a psychology history perspective, I'll be honest with you. The only one that attempted to talk about the spiritual religious was
yeah,
William James. And going back further, William Wundt, who's one of the fathers of psychology, but the fact that he sort of saying I'm doing paranormal, like I'll be honest, that's such a local thing yet. I think it'll explode eventually. I don't know what year, but and I say this because these two, was there a way they could have capitalized on this? Like knowing, like I don't think it was.
oh, Hans Holzer had a ton of books on this before he was known. That's why they brought him in. Um, and he always worked with Ethel Myers. I read every book by him. He worked with a couple of psychic Sybil Leek, who actually knew Aleister Crowley really well, and Ethel Johnson Myers. They were the big ones. Um, and then he was a ghost hunter. He wasn't a demonologist or anything. He would go in, collect the facts, and base everything on facts.
Okay.
Listen to people, then bring in a trance medium. He only believed in trance mediums. He laughed at all these modern day ghost chasers with their devices. He thought it was a joke, and he only said you need a trance medium. And the trance medium, the demon, the ghost, whatever, would go through them, and all of a sudden, he would have answers. He would figure it out, and then they would bring in they would bring in priests, or the trance medium would exercise the people, go to the light, that kind of stuff. Actually, Lorraine Warren or Ethel Myers, this is debatable, is based on the little short lady in the Poltergeist movie.
Mm.
So having the Warrens and him say it's haunted, it's definitely factual. It's haunted in
Okay.
my book. Any more?
Questions? No, it's good. Keep going.
Uh, okay. Then just for our viewers, was this a big scam using the facts that went on in the house, that these poor people, innocent people, got murdered in their own house?
Mm.
Everyone made money. Was it a big lie and everyone made money from books and movies? That's
Mhm.
the other question. I mean, that's where you say the skeptics come in. You know?
It's hard. It's like this case is so, and the same thing with Berkowitz, which again, there's two lines of thought here. And anytime the religious gets involved, it's like, yeah, okay, like I don't know about that. And again, and a lot of these people use Occam's razor, the simplest explanation. There's always a simple explanation. The simplest is probably the true one, right? The most simple.
Oh yeah,
But again, these cases it's sort of split, and there's nothing. I don't know you and I could not convince, I don't think, a skeptic unless they experience it firsthand.
yeah,
Hard.
yeah. I
It's
know.
too,
Like
because they could have capitalized on all this.
when we talked to Manny about it, I don't think Manny believes Manny Grossman in the.
Well, he's not. I don't think. I'm not. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't think he's real. He's not that he's not religious, but he doesn't believe there's any religion angle usually.
Yeah, I don't think he believes there's a ghost in the whole thing. And it's funny because on the show he did compare the Warrens to Mory Terry. But me being a Warrens freak, to answer my question, I think this wasn't a scam. Excuse me, this wasn't a scam. You know, and I think that it was real. Things do happen in houses,
Mhm.
but going back to the skeptics, is there visual, actual proof? Yes, there is in this case. There's a picture of a demon boy.
I will say the only problem with that, and a lot of people that don't believe in that will say it's all fake. It's because a lot of those kind of images by skeptics have been sort of like disproven.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the problem. And again, we got a picture, but the problem is like you can't convince them because then they will say, wait, but so what? First of all, I thought ghosts cannot be filmed, right? Second, obviously this is fake. This is an actor, and I'm just doing devil's advocate. So that picture's spooky, but I don't think it's not enough to convince a skeptic.
yeah. And skeptics have their points because, like, we don't know. We don't know. It's the unknown. It's spiritual. It goes. I think belief is on the individual. You know what I mean? If you believe in it or not, if you have experiences with it. Some people could live in a haunted house, right? And there could be a ghost. But if they don't believe in it, ghosts won't bother them. But if you're in that haunted house and you're like, religious, and you're like, like scared, you will experience ghosts. That's what I read. It depends on the individual. Because, and here's another thing, the people who moved into the house there's never been any problems since. My theory is it was exercised by Lorraine Warren and Ethel Myers.
And listen, I mean, I love what you said that because you do present an interesting religious. I say because now we're doing like you know Catholic theology a little bit. So sorry for our audience out there, but what's the point of being a Christian? It's to be holy, it's to be with Jesus.
Yeah,
If you're not religious, you're not trying to be close to Jesus, it would make sense how why the demon would leave you alone. The
yeah.
demons are trying to keep you away from God, from the light.
I-
That's their goal. Like Satan doesn't want you. So the more holy you are, right?
yeah.
This is weird, and again, it's a scary part of Catholicism. The demons are gonna come right after you because they don't. They're like, listen, like, um, and the reason why is because they're gonna attack you because you are a light. Can it be argued that the Lutz family were lights? Maybe, maybe. I don't know if you would agree with that. Like maybe they were a good family.
Here's the thing. There's a couple theories about George Lutz. He was a dabbler in the occult.
Oh, is that a confirmed theory though?
Don't know. I read it.
I
Uh,
don't have anything like that. All right, just my thing.
he made a special room in the house where he had different books.
But then that would give the theory that he capitalized on this.
Yeah, or he invoked more demonic shit. You know what I mean? That's a theory that somebody had posed. I don't know if they saw the books or they saw the room or you had, magic books, the satanic books. I doubt it. The guy seems like a regular guy. Watch him in interviews. Seems
Right.
like a guy wanted to have a nice normal family. There's a great documentary about the son, who's about maybe a little older than me, by this woman Lauren DeFeo. She interviews him, and this kid is messed up all these years later from living in that house. And he says everything is true, everything happened, and he left his family when he was 15, and he was on his own. He wanted nothing to do with the family. So I don't know if George Lutz was maybe a bad dad to him as well, but he felt that it was all real, and it messed with this kid emotionally, and he didn't have a life after that. I mean, how could you? How could you have a normal life, even if
Mm.
it was fake, and they're making a movie about you living in a demon house? It's gonna mess with you,
Mm.
you know. But
Go with the questions, and then we'll wrap up.
and really quick, what was I gonna say? Also, if you move into a house, a haunted house, and you're a bad person and you're doing really evil shit, you can you can summon poltergeists. And I'm talking like
Call them, yeah.
abusive, molestation, all the devil stuff.
It's true. It's true.
So
Look,
that could do that.
those are its own demons, yeah. And this is within the Catholic religion framework
Yeah.
and Christian.
Um. So now this was second to the movie The Exorcist, which The Exorcist is the most scariest movie, as we know, ever made in horror. So Amityville is number two, but it's not about a little girl; it's about a house, which makes it even more scary because we all live in houses or a home, and like you wonder, like I know my house was built in 1910, and I was like, who lived in this room? You know what I mean? Before
Yeah,
me,
yeah, yeah.
that Um. So next question, who do you believe? We both said that we believe that it was possessed. I believe the Lutz. I believe the Warrens. I believe Hans Holzer, right? Ethel Myers.
Yeah, yeah. I think there is truth to everything. Yeah.
Okay. Did Ronnie DeFeo, kill his family by himself? Just to bring Ronnie back up quick.
Mhm.
Do it. And, you know, what do you think? You think he did
Wait,
it?
wait, say it again. Say it again.
Did Ronnie DeFeo kill everyone in his family?
Didn't we talk about that last episode?
No, just as a wrap up. Do you think he
Oh
did?
yeah, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Okay. I
That's me. That's me though.
I have my theories that Dawn, his sister, helped him on that. You know, I don't think Ronnie acted alone on that. Was Ronnie DeFeo possessed? Do you think he was possessed by the Indian spirit that was in there, demon?
So I'm gonna say yes. I
Okay,
think there was some demonic presence involved. There was something demonic that helped him.
right. It had to be in a way too, because the way the bodies were found.
Yeah, it's kind of spooky. And the only one to do that are deemed like anyone that has supernatural power, you know?
Yeah. And the guns weren't heard. They didn't hear the guns,
Yeah.
you know. Okay. Ruled out the mafia, definitely not a mob hit. After the Lutz moved in, there was no problems. And that's probably because Lorraine and Ethel Myers cleared the house of any demons or anything like that.
Right.
So, the whole thing going back. Do you believe the Lutz family and the Warrens, the story is real, authentic possession, or the skeptic that it's all BS? That's the question that goes back, and you as a viewers, you decide, what you think it is. Me and Manny believe it's definitely something demonic. No,
Supernatural, which we're discovering with each case that we're going over, we're covering.
yeah. And let me just say about the Warrens, I followed them since I was a little kid. I got heavily into them in the past 10 years. I met their son-in-law, watched him speak, John Zaffis, and I joined this group. It was a ghost hunters group, and those people they're nuts. They're just nuts. I feel they're insane, those people. But I met this one person, and they're like, you'd get these like calls, like they're gonna have John Zaffis and the Warrens. They're gonna, the estate, because they were both, the Warrens are gone now. They passed away. Um, they're gonna have a special viewing of Annabelle in the dresser from The Conjuring, where the hands came out and clapped. Do you want to go? And I'm like, oh yeah, 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 I want to go. So this person was gonna come pick me up. It's like way in Connecticut, and I get, in the car, and they hand me a piece of paper, and they say, okay, before we go, we got to fill out the paperwork. I'm like, what paperwork? Paperwork was, if Annabelle, it was basically to protect you from Annabelle.
And you
Like,
and you gotta love it because again, I think you know a lot of people will be like, that's ridiculous. Like that's just trying to scare you. But
it is another, we could talk about that in another episode,
yeah.
but I was like, I'm not filling out anything, and guess what? I'm not fucking going.
No, if I got presented with that, I'm like, yeah, hard pass. Like if I'm going to see a haunted house and they make me sign like a document saying we're not responsible for whatever you have. Whoa, I'm out. Like,
Well, I haven't gone to the museum, but when you go to the museum, the Warrens Museum, you have to fill the same paper out. And then they bless you going in with holy water, and they bless you going out, and it says, we're not responsible what happens to you, because supposedly when the Warrens first opened up the museum in the 70s, the museum has been around a long time,
right, right.
and in there with his girlfriend, and he was a skeptic, and he was like, this is all a joke, don't bless me, this is all bullshit. He looked at the Annabelle thing, and it says, don't touch, don't look at it directly in the eyes. He was shaking it and being like, you're full of shit, this is just a doll. The guy died on his way home. It's a fact. Got into a motorcycle accident and he died. you know I looked it up. Now, could it be a coincidence? Maybe. Or Annabelle, like, is that just psychological, Manny? Just the idea of this doll being possessed, and then it's put in our psyche, and we're just like, oh my god, my sister has one, and I can't even look at that fucking thing. You know what I mean? And it's a fucking rag doll in the 70s.
Yeah, yeah,
I had the male, my sister had the female, and it's
right.
something so innocent as a child is now the most evil possessed thing, relic in the world, that nobody wants to even see. That's just my Warren story. But definitely, for our viewers, investigate the Warrens. Watch documentaries on them. They're true, authentic. Ed is a demonologist, even though he's not a priest. I believe he is. I believe he's the only one. There's one other person that is a demonologist, and Ed was smart enough to work with a priest. Obviously, he had to. And I believe Lorraine. Are they charlatans? No, I don't think so. But a lot of people think they are. And did they make a lot of money off the movies? Yeah, they did. Did they change stories like Bathsheba and stuff? Maybe they didn't, but Hollywood did, but they had the last say. Maybe they had to make it more interesting, like you're saying. So check out Hans Holzer, Ethel Myers. Check out the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine. They're really interesting, and I think they're real.
What's the psychologist name? German, you said?
Hans Holzer.
And you keep mentioning Altemeyer, was it?
What?
You keep mentioning Altemeyer or
No, Ethel Myers. It sounds like Altemeyer.
oh, Echo Myers. That's his name.
Ethel Myers is a trance medium. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you, thank you. She's a trance medium that worked with. He worked with the best, Hans. He worked with Sybil Leek, who Aleister Crowley took under his wing as a young girl, and he saw the potential she had. She was a witch in England, but she was also a trance medium. Um, and there was a house that my dad worked in Rye, and he would say that he would paint there, and they told him, "Be careful, this house is haunted," And me and Rob and another guy, we found the house years ago, and I got pretty twisted with this case, and my dad would go and paint the house and stuff, and then he'd go out and have lunch, and then like everything would be messed up. Everything, the paint would be on the floor, the ladder would be moved, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's the ghost of this girl who died in a fire in the attic. She was put in the attic because she was something. She probably had autism or like schizophrenia, and they just locked her up there because
Hmm.
the father was a like a senator in New York. He was a real rich guy. It's a big, beautiful house in Rye. I got so obsessed with this house, man. I used to drive by this house. I even was trying to contact the people to see if I can go in the house.
Hmm.
I found the girl's grave in Rye Cemetery, and me and some other person tried to communicate with her. And then after a while, I was like, "Am I fucking nuts?
Hmm.
Am I losing my mind?" I said, I can't do this shit, because suppose some shit really happens, So like, I got away from the whole. It was a fun thing to be into for a while, but
Okay.
the ghost people that do this shit, they're fucking nuts, man. They're looking for trouble, honestly, in my opinion.
Right.
So anyway, any final thoughts on the Warren?
Let's
On
sort of conclude this very spooky episode. No, I think we covered it part one and two, and then we'll let the audience decide based on what we tell them. What do you? And also, if you can do, uh, your own research and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
and watch the movies. I mean, the movies are great. Conjuring. To me, there's The Exorcist, there's Amityville, and then there's The Conjuring. To me, The Conjuring is the scariest movie to come out in the past 20 years.
yeah. No, I think it's considered one of the best horror movies of the 2000s, so, and scariest for sure.
All the Annabelle movies are great. There's a great one called The Devil Made Me Do It. That was a real case. The guy went to court and said the devil made him murder people. I mean, which sounds, talk about a skeptic, you know what I mean? But hey, Ronnie DeFeo, the devil made him do it. And I forget the other ones. It's been so. I mean, there's like, I think there's two Annabelle, Conjuring. Uh, I don't know if they didn't remake A Haunting in Connecticut because they couldn't get the rights. They haven't done much in a while, so
Hmm.
I don't know if they're retired and stuff. But they're all over the internet. Check out the Warrens, and Hans Holler is on there too, man. He'll blow your mind away with his stuff coming from the psychologist. I think you'll find him more interesting, you know, because he invented it being a psychologist, and he put that ghost tag to it, parapsychology, you know. So anyway, great episode.
We'll conclude here, and then we'll let the audience decide. But that was really good, Cheech.
Yeah,
And this will wrap up our Amityville DeFeo part one, and this is part two, which we released separately. So
yeah.
this was really cool.
Awesome. All right.
All right, Cheech.
Peace
All right,
out.
brother. Peace out. And thank you for all your knowledge on this
Oh,
subject. Pretty good.
thank you, man.
All
All
right.
right.
Till the next one.
Definitely.
All right. Try not to let the spirits haunt you.
I know. Burn some sage and hang out with this dude.
No, seriously, hold that picture high.
He's my bed.
All right, Cheech, till the next one.
Take care.
Okay, bye.